Good afternoon, everybody. It is 12 o'clock. Thank you for joining us for your lunch hour. This is Monica Hernandez from the Sacramento Area Council of Governments, and I am going to kick off today's presentation on the Tower Bridge Bike Share Preview. So today's presenters, we have James Corliss, Chief Executive Officer for the Sacramento Area Council of Governments, Mark Moretsky, who is the Project Manager from Social Bicycles, Jennifer Donlin Wyatt, Active Transportation Specialist for the City of Sacramento, Chris Doherty, Transportation Program Specialist for the City of West Sacramento, and myself. So I am going to turn it over to James Corliss.
Great, thanks, Monica, and really happy to have you all on the call webinar today, this afternoon. I think you all know the reason you're here. You're interested because we're about to kick off this preview of Bike Share next week on May 18th. We are really thrilled. As somebody who's really a newcomer to the region still, I was wondering why we didn't have Bike Share in Sacramento and West Sacramento. And so the fact that we can roll this out, the fact that it's during Bike Month, I think is just really exciting. And I got to tell you, when I meet people and I go to a lot of events, one of the first things that's what people ask me about is Bike Share. It's actually happening. That's great. How is it happening? When is it rolling out? Where do I ride? How do I sign up? So really today, and there's really just a small group of us on this kind of call webinar, is really to get all of you to become the ambassadors for this program. This cannot be a SACOG program. This can't just be SOBI. This has to be all of us jointly vested in this. So please ask questions. We're going to run through presentations. I hope that at the end of this hour, you're all going to really understand how this works, how it's rolling out, if people have questions, where they go, etc. Because again, I just think we, to make this a success, and even though the preview is limited both in geography and in the number of bikes, I think we're going to get coverage and we're going to get publicity, and we want to have this go really as well as possible so that when we get to full rollout, people are just excited for that full rollout. So that really is. It's about making you all experts today. It's about making you ambassadors. So please don't be shy. Ask those basic questions. I've already had a friend of mine here ask in Sacramento, can I bike to the food co-op and back? And so we really need to understand the boundaries, the operating procedures, the ins and outs, the FAQs, all that kind of stuff. So that's why we're here today. That's the purpose of this. Again, I just want to thank all of the participants for really lifting this preview off the ground, and we're just thrilled that it'll go live next Thursday. So Monica, back to you. I'm happy to stick around, answer any questions from our end, but I want to get to the presenters.
Great. Thank you, James. And with that, we are going to turn it over to Mark Moretsky. Before I do that, I do want to reiterate what James said. Please use the question function on your toolbar. Send questions throughout the presentation. I will be tracking those, and we will answer them at the end. So again, please send us your questions. And with that, Mark, why don't you go ahead and help us understand Bike Share.
Sure. Thanks, Monica. Thank you, James. Hey, everybody. So this is Mark Moretsky from Social Bicycles. We are a bike share technology provider that SACOG and the region chose to provide their bike share system. So registration's fairly easy. You just jump on the web and go to bikethetower.com, and you can sign up there. Or if you have a mobile app on your smartphone, you can download Social Bicycles in the iPhone or Android store. You then register for an account with your name, with your debit or credit card information, so that the system can debit you fees as you ride. Once you register, the system will give you an account number, and you'll select your own PIN code, your own secret code, basically, to authenticate to the system when you log in. So when you want to rent a bike, you'll walk up to a bike, you type in your account number on the back of the bike, and then it'll prompt you for your PIN code. You'll authenticate your account number by typing your PIN code, then you'll be able to unlock the bike. You'll pull out the U-bar, you'll place it on the side of the bike, there's a holster for it. Then you can go riding, you can put the bike on hold, and eventually return it to another station and lock it to a rack at a hub. So let's jump to the next slide. So membership is fairly easy. It's $4 an hour. We're just going to do one simple plan. The eventual system will also have a variety of other options, such as annual plans, possibly monthly plans, student plans, low income or sort of equity plans. So $4 an hour, it's prorated. So if you ride for 10 minutes, you're only going to be charged for 10 minutes. If you ride for 3 hours, you'll be charged for 3 hours. And it's cumulative. It's just batched at the end of the day and charged as you go. If you lock outside of a hub location, there is a $2 charge for that. And the reason is because we do want to keep the bikes somewhat organized and centralized at their respective hub locations. So we charge there's this economic incentive to basically encourage people to return bikes to those hub locations. But when you need to, you can always lock a bike outside of a hub location and end your trip by locking the bike to some other public bike rack or, for instance, signpost for a small fee. But on the flip side, if you return a bike to a hub location from outside of a hub location, then the user can actually collect a credit, a $1.50 credit for future riding. So that encourages users to actually rebalance the system themselves. What we see in many other programs is people are so happy that they can pay the $2 to lock the bike wherever it is that they're going specifically, if there's not a station there or a hub. And then other users are happy because when it's convenient for them, they can find those bikes, grab them, and return them to a station or hub and collect this credit. Then there's also a $20 out-of-system fee. So for this program, we do have a boundary. And if a user locks the bike outside of the boundary, because it's fairly onerous for the rebalancing team to go collect that bicycle and bring it back into the system, we do really try to disincentivize people locking bikes outside. But in a time of need, you could do that. And I think there's a maximum charge for riding time of $30 per day. So I guess that means, 7.5 hours after you ride for 7.5 hours, you top out, and riding after that is free. I don't really envision there's going to be a lot of that, but just so you all know. We can jump to the next slide, which is the mobile app. Sorry?
Okay, Mark, this is Monica. Before we move on to the mobile app, can you reiterate the definition of hub? We are concerned that there will be confusion. People have used the word bike station if they've experienced or used a bike share in other places. Can you just explain that a hub and a station from your perspective?
Sure. A hub and a station are essentially the same thing. We just prefer to use the word hub because it's a little bit more all-encompassing. So in our system, hubs could be racks that we deploy, but they could also be city racks that have already been deployed, and we draw a geofence on the interactive map. So we designate this particular location, for instance, that has a few city racks as a hub location, and we, on the interactive map, draw a boundary around it, and that makes it a geofence. It makes it a hub. And the way that the system responds, each bike has GPS on it. So when the GPS locates the bike inside of that station boundary, it considers the bike to be inside of the hub location. So everything is based on the GPS that is on the bike.
Great, thank you. And a follow-up question still on the same topic of kind of locating bikes around the hubs. On the app and the system map, those hubs are outlined. How would somebody find a bike that is not locked at a hub?
Sure. So that's what the mobile app and the web are for. So there's an interactive map that's tying this whole system together for users. So when you open your mobile app or when you open the website, there's a live map of where all the bikes are located based on their GPS. So you can surf the map and click on bikes. You can reserve them wirelessly, actually. So if you're at your office and you want to know that you have a bike ready for you downstairs by the time you get down there, you can reserve it from your computer or from your phone before you even get there, and the bike will be waiting specifically for your code. So that could be a bike at a hub location. It could also be a bike that's at that moment outside of a hub location. Does that make sense?
That's a great transition to talk about the app, and to highlight as well, coming up in this presentation, we will be walking through the system map so you can see where the designated hub locations are. And then Mark, if you'll go ahead, and we're on the next slide, number 5, with the photo of the mobile app.
Sure. So the mobile app, in addition to being able to use it to sign up, it has a lot of other core functionality to the program, such as what we were just discussing, locating individual bikes, finding hub locations, reserving those bicycles wirelessly, checking on stats and data from previous rides. You can view your GPS routes from previous rides, and you can read FAQs. You can check your account, so billing and other memberships that are connected to the account, and other sort of basic functions that you would want out of a system on the go when you're on your phone.
Great. All right, moving on, let's meet the bikes.
Yeah, so the bikes in this system for the preview they're, as shown in the image, they're white. The racks that we're using are corrals, basically. They're basically these U racks that we deploy. We're currently in process deploying those starting yesterday and today. We've got almost all of them down now in the city of Sacramento, and we're soon going to be launching them as well in West Sacramento over the coming days. The bike has full fenders, so you don't get dirty when you ride it. It has a shaft drive transmission, so there's no chain. It has a shaft that rotates that propels the bicycle when you pedal. All of the components on the bike are protected with security fasteners so that thieves can't steal the bike. And it's created to be a fairly universal bicycle. So it has a wide range adjustable seat. It has puncture-resistant tires. It has an upright posture so that the users feel like they can get good visibility when they ride, and so that they can be seen themselves when they're upright. The bike has a basket for quite a bunch of stuff that you can fit in there. You could fit basically like a Trader Joe's shopping bag kind of thing in there. It has 3 speeds, brakes up at the handlebars, and it has information posted on the basket, these big vinyl stickers that describe to users how to sign up, how to download the mobile app, who to contact if they have issues. And later in the presentation, I think there's a slide that shows on the inside of the basket, there's actually going to be the printed boundaries of the map so that users can easily look at it and understand where are the hub locations, and what are the boundaries of the system so as not to leave the bike outside of the boundary.
Right, and while we have this image up, Mark, can you also describe the light features for night riding?
Sure. Good, yes, of course. So lights automatically turn on at the front of the bike and at the rear when you begin a rental. So obviously to make sure that the user can be seen when they're riding around at night. So that's integrated and automatic.
We're going to continue on. We've got the keypad now, so when somebody checks out a bike, this is how they'll get access.
Yeah, so beyond being a regular bike, which we described in the previous slide, the real functionality and the new system that the bike brings is the onboard computer and onboard lock. So the computer has GPS tracking, and it's able to communicate over a cell connection with the phone. That's how you can reserve it wirelessly and communicate with it from the web and from your phone. It also has on-bike RFID, which means if you have a Connect card, or for me, since I'm from San Francisco, we have the Clipper card, you can configure that local transit card to be read by the bicycle. So you can, instead of typing in your account number, you can just swipe your card on the keypad and it will recognize you as a user. Now the lock that you see that can be inserted into the bike from either side allows you to lock the bike to regular infrastructure. So that's what allows the bike to be sort of flexibly locked to items that are outside of a hub location, to another public bike rack or signpost, for instance. When you retract the U-bar, when you pull it out of the bike and you're ready to go riding, you insert it into those two rings that are on the left side of the bike, and they're held down by a magnet in there. Yeah. Next slide, or any questions, Monica?
Yep. Next slide.
Cool. So here's just a quick little preview of the website. It is now live, so you can go to bikethetower.com to actually see the full website. And then there's the user's web app. So when the user becomes a member, they can log in. There's a yellow button on that computer screen that you see that says sign up. So once you sign up, you can then log into the platform. That's what you'll see on the right side. That has a lot of functionality similar to what you would have in the mobile app. If you signed up, you'd be able to review your billing, your history of riding, your routes, your GPS plots. You could look at the live interactive map. You can sign up to other social bicycle systems around the world, and all of that other core functionality that you need from the system. We can jump to the next slide, which is the map.
All right, we're going to turn this over to Chris Doherty, but before that, we did have a question, and just to answer that question, the website just went live. If you're receiving a website not safe message, it should be resolved already, so thanks for that question. If not, I know you have my email. This is Monica Hernandez. You can email me directly and we'll follow up with you. All right, Chris, can you walk us through the map of locations in West Sacramento?
Sure. Good afternoon. I'm going to start on the screen. You're looking at point A, and that is at the corner in West Sacramento of 5th and C, and there'll be a new Sobe corral installed in this location. Moving just to the east to dot number B, this is going to be a corral using existing parking in front of Burgers and Brew restaurants. To move to the south to C, this is another location where we are just geofencing existing bike racks at the Cal Stewart's building in the Riverwalk Park along the river. Location D is at the corner of Tower Bridge Gateway and 3rd Street or Riverfront. This location will serve both the Rivercat Stadium, Capitol Yards apartment across the street, and probably the Department of General Services building just to the north. That will be a Sobe corral installed on the sidewalk area. Point E is going to be West Gateway Place, a brand new apartment complex that we just finished construction on in West Sacramento. And that will have new corrals installed on the corner of Tower Bridge Gateway and Delta Lane. Point F is going to be at the West Sacramento Transit Center. We're installing a corral on the sidewalk portion there, and that will be adjacent to the existing transit center and the future streetcar stop. Move down to G. This is a location in Garden Park in the Bridge District. We are utilizing existing bike racks in the park and geofencing this location. And just to the east of that, in front of the barn on Riverfront Street, is the city is installing, with Sobe's help, a brand new bike corral utilizing an on-street parking space there.
All right, thanks so much, Chris. And we are going to transition over to the Sacramento system map and invite Jennifer Donlin-White with the City of Sacramento to walk through these locations.
Thanks, Monica. Hello, everybody. Excited about this. Go through our stations really quickly. So the first station is going to, or hub, sorry, I'm used to using stations. The first hub is going to be at City Hall. It is going to serve, of course, City Hall, but also the EPA building. And it's really close to Cesar Chavez Park for all the fun activities that happen there, whether it's the farmer's market or concerts in the park. Location B is the convention center. Not only will it serve activities that happen at the convention center, but the theater is also right there, as well as all the activities along K Street. Location C is 24th and K. It's a big part of Midtown. It'll be near restaurants like Tres Hermanas, Golden Bear, School, Jimmy's Barber Garage, so a lot of activity over there. Location D is 18th and Capitol. Again, another hub of activity with a lot of restaurants and a lot going on, such as Zocalo, Olso, Paisanos. Location E is, hold on, I'm pulling up 16th and Q. That is close to Hot Italian, Inside Coffee, Magpie, Orchard Thai, Karma Brew, Starbucks, and Nishiki Sushi. So a lot of folks will probably be using those. And then the last location is on R Street at 11th, serving the R Street corridor with a lot going on there, including Amaro, Bottle and Barlow, Fox and Goose, and a number of restaurants. And those are our locations.
Thanks, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
And we actually got a photo about 5 minutes before this webinar started. Mark, are you able to let us know where this bike and hub is at?
Yeah, that's at 5th and C. So that's also where our maintenance shop is going to be located, which was generously provided to us by the City of West Sacramento.
Okay, wonderful, very exciting. We are going to begin our question and answer section. So I am going to have us all unmuted in terms of the presenters today. We already have a couple of questions. One great question is the entire system, meaning when the system fully launches in the fall, will it be called the Tower Bridge Preview? No, this name is essentially just for this preview period. The naming, color scheme of the future system will all be part of the sponsorship, dialogue, and negotiations. But we felt it was really important to have a sense of identity. You know, it's a smaller geography covering West Sacramento and Sacramento, and the iconic Tower Bridge really links those two areas. So this is just for the preview. And then a question if there's a possibility of getting a hub at the Sacramento Valley Station. For this system preview, and I'm going to look at some of the other folks in here, my understanding is that these hubs are currently determined, and there will not be any additional hubs for the next foreseeable time period. Once the full system is rolled out, there will be a variety of options, points of input, and a process to identify what are the factors to determine those hubs in the future. I don't have any other questions rolling in. I'm sure there's got to be more. I do want to quickly say that all of these attendees on the call, I will be providing a follow-up email with some key messages for next week and some visuals that you could use on your social media to help drive registration and also really keep the information clear and concise. The one go-to place for FAQs and information will be bikethetower.com website.
Yep, that's great. This is again James Corliss from SACOG. I guess I wanted to just maybe we've covered this, but to put the finer point on it, if any of you on the call, hopefully you've gotten a lot out of this and now you get the basics of how this works. But if you were talking to, let's say, a business or the River Cats or whoever it may be, and they said, I just don't like who do I actually call to get more? Who do I actually go to for sort of the ultimate? Where do they go? Is it the website, Monica?
Yes, it is the website, but all of you on the call, I also encourage you, if you have a question that you feel is not being answered, feel free to reach out to me and I can help navigate the right person. It may be a city staff person if it's a technical question related to, somebody wanting a station. And if you're not completely comfortable answering, why there isn't one at the Sacramento Valley station, we can help clarify that for you.
And
Go ahead, James. Sorry.
Monica, you may have covered this already. I guess I was also want to make sure that we talked a little bit about the fact that this is not, from our perspective, going to be a big media rollout next week. We certainly might get coverage, right? But we are, and maybe you've made this ask already, but we're really not trying to do a big splash on Thursday, right? We're trying to really work with the potential sponsors to roll something out that's much bigger. So again, I would expect probably a Sacramento Bee article, but in terms of, all hands on deck, social media, it's great? Not yet, right? So hold off, I think, is the message. Am I right?
That's right, James. We definitely are still in a critical time for getting the sponsor for the full system, but we do want to be able to provide factual information for this preview. 50 bikes is not that many, so we think that many of you on the call will be impacted and asked questions. So our role today is really to inform you, answer your questions, and hopefully kind of minimize the misperception that some of the members of the public or some business owners might have that this is the full system. And then another question. Let's see here. Can you tell us how you will determine the future hub placement and how we can be part of the process? I'm not the right person to answer that, and I'm going to look to SACOG's project manager for the bike share system, Sam Shelton, to hop in and answer that question.
Thanks, Monica. We'll be contracting with Social Bicycles and Tool Design to launch that planning process this summer. We have an executed agreement. So if you are getting requests for stations from the public or property owners or businesses, thank them for their interest, send the request to SACOG, and we'll keep a list of that when we're ready to start planning. The first steps will be understanding our station planning criteria with Social Bicycles, and then moving forward there with a public engagement process. So all of that will take place this summer.
Great. And then Sam, I think you might be the best person to answer the next question as well. What are the next steps for the other bike share partners, the City of Davis, UC Davis, and so on?
Those are the very same steps. We'll be invited to those meetings to help us plan out the full rollout of the system and to be deeply involved with the permitting process.
All right, we have another question which was interesting, and this is there going to be a time period at the beginning of the launch where people will not be charged $20 for locking their bikes outside of the coverage area? I'm actually going to turn this over to Mark to answer.
Sure, yeah, that's a great question. In practice, what we tend to do is, unless it's pretty egregious, we tend to waive a first-time offense anyway. We don't tend to want to communicate that to users because we don't want to encourage it, since the implications are pretty significant on the operations and staff side to go recover those bikes. But in practice, we waive that fee the first time, and maybe even again if there's a good enough reason to from the user. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think it does. Hey, Mark, this is James Corliss at SACOG. Another question I've had is, I see, it looks like, at least from these, actually from the photo you have up on the screen right now, that there's a little map of the coverage area, right? So I've got that. Is there anything else that tells me when I bike outside the coverage area? Does the app start going crazy in my pocket and say, stop, turn around?
It won't do that, or it might actually send you a push notification if you have the app downloaded on your phone. Yeah, but if you don't have the app downloaded on your phone, then there's no way for the system to alert you. When you do lock the bike outside of the system, you will, however, be sent an email, an automated email by the system that sort of explains, hey, we noticed you locked the bike outside of the system boundary. We just wanted to check in and find out if this was deliberate and you knew about the fee. If this was an accident or you didn't know about it, please reach out to us, let us know. So that's sort of the in for the user to let us know that oh, sorry, didn't realize this was an issue. Please give me a refund. And then we typically would.
Gotcha. And if I can, just related to that, if I knowingly want to go outside the coverage area and I want to go to let's say a grocery store and stop for 15 minutes and pick up some lunch and come back, can I do that, and how do I do
Yeah,
it?
sure, definitely. So that's related to the hold function on the bike. So as long as you don't lock the bike, meaning as long as you don't terminate that ride, end that ride outside of the boundary, there will be no $20 fee. So you could ride outside the boundary, press the hold button on the bike, then you lock the bike to a rack or to whatever structure that you can lock the bike to. That bike will still be under your name. The clock will still be ticking. You'll still be paying the prorated dollar per hour amount, and nobody else will be able to unlock that bike. But no fee will be charged. No large $20 fee will be charged. Then when you get back to the bike, you type in your PIN code, you unlock it, and you bike back to the system boundary.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Great. Another question, what would happen if the coverage area extended to the train station without a hub? The system boundary is actually already determined, so it can't be extended at this time.
Service boundary includes Sac Valley Station.
But it's important to note, Sam just made a clarification because it may not be clear on the visual that you can see that the service boundary does include the Sacramento Valley Station. So if you rode there and parked, you would be okay. All right.
So just to clarify, there are no hubs at the Sac Valley Station, but it is within the service area. So you will be charged a $2 fee for parking outside of a hub within the service area. So the Capital Corridor riders can still use the preview to get to a train. They would simply be charged the $2 out of hub fee, and when riders come off, they will get the $1.50 credit to take it back to a hub.
So look for those bikes when you come off the train. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's a good deal. It's a good deal.
Thank you, Sam. And then another question again is just to clarify how much of a push in terms of communications, public relations. This is a very light effort. Again, if you have newsletters, it may not be the right time, but I am working right now on some key messages. I think key messages for next week is, yes, the preview system is here. We'll give you visuals of the map, the service area, and then the visual of the pricing information. But I would suggest, unless you're getting a lot of questions, that we don't do a heavy media push. We will not be doing a media advisory or a large press release next week, again, because we want to kind of maintain the marketing and value for the sponsors. And I think, Kirk, you have a little bit to add?
Yeah, this might be frustrating to people to feel like we're doing this preview and we should be rolling it out and championing something great that's happening in the region. So I did want to just talk a little bit about it. We are working very closely with Social Bicycles to secure a primary or naming sponsor for the system. And what we're trying to do is not take away the thunder that they are looking forward to capturing when we really roll the system out. So I know we're asking for your patience here, that there's something really important happening and it's okay, and we know there's going to be media, but we want to do what we can to preserve the real impact of the rollout until later, until we're able to identify who our sponsor is for the system. So thank you for being patient with us. That may help, explaining that to your partners may help for people who want to do a bunch of media and advertising about this right now.
Thanks, Kirk. Yes, I think all of the staff, Sam, Jennifer, Mark, Kirk, James, all the folks who've been working on this, I think we're a lot more excited and want to shout it from the rooftops, but it's a little challenging to have the restraint. We have a question here. I think, Mark, you're best suited to answer this, and it's really asking if in the terms of service or the terms of use for bike share, clarifying that bikes should not be carried on buses or trains due to the weight.
Sure. I think the language states just more not to put it on the train. I don't think it's because of weight necessarily, but yes, I think the language says not to put bikes in cars and vehicles or on transit.
It's probably important to note that we've been partnering over the last month for Maya's Bike Month with YOLO Bus and Sacramento Regional Transit to connect your trips and use a bike for first and last mile connections. So as much as those of us partners working in those realms, we can communicate that that's not the appropriate use for bike share to go on those handy racks. Okay. We are at almost 12:40, and I don't have questions coming in. I definitely want to encourage them. This is really your opportunity. We have the lead staff in the room with us, ready to answer your questions. We'll hold for a few more minutes.
And this is James Corliss again from SACOG. I guess what I would say, just to go back to that sort of the not shouting it from the rooftops, right? Not pushing it out. But if you all have any kind of a list of businesses, right, or if you have a sort of a steering committee or kind of those key people in your area who are going to be really important to have them know about this, right? Which is probably just a link to the website. But I would do that. I'd make sure that people know this is coming, that it's a preview, that there's not a big launch yet, but just so that folks understand, especially if, I don't know if you could target around those hubs now that you've heard where they are. But I do think if there's a way to reach those people, not the general public, and I know we're doing some of that as well, but you can't have people hear it probably too many times. Just so that we have the more ambassadors we have for this program, I think the better.
And for those of you participating on the call, one of the tasks that I have for staff here at SACOG, myself, is to write kind of that brief summary of what's happening and what to expect that you can plop into the audiences that James described. And then just so that you know, SACOG staff will be going out to the businesses around the hub locations with some informational flyers and having a face-to-face conversation, a handshake, really hoping to create that positive relationship right off the bat with the business owners and helping them to understand the benefits of having a hub right near them. And then we have a question. I think this is from staff who has been working on the full bike share system. Are we going to all get together and try the bikes? So next Thursday, there's going to be a small demonstration after the SACOG board meeting. We've invited our board members to come, members of the policy steering committee for the full bike share system, and we will be taking some photos, but it is very kind of small. We don't have a ribbon cutting. We're not doing a media advisory, but it is really just to build support for pushing forward on the larger system. So if you are a member of the Bike Share Project Management Team and you would like to join us at that time, you are certainly encouraged. Any of the other stakeholders on the call, please let me know. Happy to have you. I'm going to hold for a couple more minutes to see if we have any other questions coming through.
And I'll jump in and just add a few more highlights here. I just wanted to point out a good place to also send people for information is just the bike itself. Again, it has the system area, it has the website on it, contact phone number. You can't really see on the side panels so well, but it has some safety information for how to ride safely in traffic. It has pricing. It describes how to return the bike and lock it with the U-bar. It also, the bike has a functionality to report repair from the bicycle keypad. So the user could click a button, for instance, if they have a flat tire, and then that would send an automated alert to the system servers and to the staff running the program.
Great. And then one more opportunity, if you're interested in taking a test ride of the bike shares that will actually be around the area, on Sunday, May 21st in Sacramento. Jennifer, you want to talk about our special event where bike share will be out and people can ride the bikes in a small demonstration area?
Happy to, Monica. So in case you have not heard, City of Sacramento is hosting its first ever open street cyclovia event called Sunday Street on Broadway. It's May 21st from 8 a.m. till noon. We're closing the streets of cars and opening up for fun, including bike share. So bike share will be there as a demonstration where folks can sign up and test ride the bikes, as well as other fun activities like yoga, salsa, meditation, face painting, and lots of other cool stuff. So if you want to ride the bikes, we'll be there.
Great. And there is some fine-grained legal information that anybody who would want to either participate next Thursday with SACOG Board of Directors after our meeting or at the Sunday Street event, they would need to actually sign up for a membership account either online in advance or at the event. At the Sunday Street, we will have a mobile hotspot and some tablets, but people do need to accept the terms of service before then.
Sam Shelton again. So many of you may be trying to use the website right now to find the Tower Bridge Bike Share Preview Network. It's not listed on there. It'll be listed on there soon. Mark, you want to let us know when folks can start signing up for the system? I believe the bikes themselves will be out on the street a lot closer to May 18th. But Mark, can you update us on the availability of signing up for the network?
Sure. The network is currently hidden. We could activate it. Maybe a good day to activate it might be Monday, but we can decide together when we'd like to do that. We can basically activate it fairly soon at any time. And sorry, what was the second question?
When folks can expect to see bikes on the street?
Yeah, bikes probably will be put out on the street on the 17th. Lessons learned from previous bike share systems is putting bikes out when they're not accessible never makes people happy, because then they just get upset that why are the bikes here and we can't access them. So we're going to roll them out probably the night before launch, which is on the 18th.
Thanks, Mark.
And one more question, are the maps on the bikes going to have one-way streets labeled? The answer is no, and the maps are already printed.
Yeah, in practice, the map is not so big that that would be really possible to communicate. So, yeah.
All right. We are almost nearing 1 o'clock. And last call for any questions for staff. Again, you will receive a follow-up email from me, Monica Hernandez. Feel free to also, if you have any questions that you didn't necessarily want to ask on this webinar, please send me an email. We are very excited for this huge milestone. Jennifer, Mark, Sam, Chris, Kirk here at SACOG, they have worked tremendously hard, other members of the team. So this is a great milestone. We think it's going to help to demonstrate the demand and desirability for bike share to our sponsors, and can't wait to get those things rolling. On behalf of everybody here, thank you so much for attending, and we look forward to see you on bikes very soon.